Avast me, hearties, and welcome to Full Stream Ahead. I am your temporary skipper here with your best first mate, Mozz Manzor, and tonight we will be talking about the seventh episode of Poker Face, the future of the sport. So, without any further ado, let's get off to the races. What's up, Mozz?
Right on. How you doing, Lilith? Thank you so much for doing this. Um,
Anytime. I just want to start and say, like,
um,
I just remembered that I watched this right when it came out. I love Natasha, and then I remembered that the character's name was Charlie, and it just kind of just hit me all over again just a little bit. But
yeah, not the typical host you guys are used to seeing. Um, but unfortunately, a good friend Charlie passed away last week. So this is in memory of Charlie, and we're gonna miss you, and we'll keep the spirit alive for you.
absolutely,
Um,
what a great show too, because the character's name again is Charlie, and
yeah.
such
And
an
he had already
interesting
seen this
character.
episode, but we didn't get a chance to talk about it yet. He was a little bit ahead of me, so it took me a while to get around to actually watching it. But man, what a great episode! Each episode it gets to going, and I'm like, man, I think this is my favorite episode so far. And I think
Every
this
single
so far,
episode, I felt like that absolutely.
yeah,
Even
for
though I'm a
sure.
NASCAR noob, well, not really. I'm a '90s kid, so like a lot of NASCAR history actually happened in the '90s with like Sprint and Nextel, Nextel becoming the Sprint Cup and Dale Earnhardt and all those things. So like I had a NASCAR jacket because you had to be a cool kid. You couldn't be a cool kid without a NASCAR
Wow,
jacket in the '90s. So I
wow,
did
yeah,
have one,
I
and
know
I know
next
a
to nothing
little.
about cars at all.
I prefer the truck series as somebody who lived in Vegas for a little bit. That's like kind of the premier race that shows up there.
Hmm.
Late model cars are cool, but something about a truck and all the noise.
Yeah, I would monster trucks I can get behind. Now that sounds like a lot of fun.
Oh, monster trucks. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just the carnage though. I'm just like, no, it's a perfectly good monster truck. No. It's
See,
like
see
when the
that's
robots fight. I'm like, no, just be friends. Kill humans. Be friends.
kill all humans, right? No, that's why I think I think a lot of race cars are just waiting for something bad to happen. With monster trucks, they're like, we know why you're here. Let's get to it. You know what I mean?
Definitely. I do like I love the twist of this show so much. It's as a supernatural fan, it just gives me like very light supernatural vibes cuz it's just like somebody on the road, right, going from place to place in a really
Mm,
super sweet car, solving mysteries and just getting into just the teentiest bit of trouble while she's solving the mysteries. So yeah, it's super relatable. It's procedural, so it's like very easily accessible. And I think that's why a lot of people really love this show. Like you kind of do have to watch it in order, but you don't necessarily have to.
you don't have to at all. I mean, I could care less about the main story. I cared about the main
It's
story in the first episode because they did it so well. But
yeah,
I couldn't care less now. Every time they introduce us to a brand new cast of characters and they cast them so well that the acting is phenomenal. And I'm sold every single time. And this time they have, what's his name? Tim Blake Nelson. I will
yes.
always know him as Delmar. You're dumber than a bag of hammers. He will forever be that character to me, and he'll be endeared in my heart forever for that character. So it's
So
great
for
to see him.
me, what made this episode was Charles Melton. As the resident Riverdale fan, Charles Melton
Ah,
plays Reggie on Riverdale. Well, he's the second actor to play the character, but like yeah, he's really
gotcha.
like yeah, he's a tall glass of water for sure. So this was I was like
Yeah,
oh yeah, this episode.
right. Okay, so that was something I thought was interesting. Like, because there's that scene where he takes her to the driving game, and he's getting all, and she's all like, so whatever about it, and I'm like, I don't understand it. Like, does she like see herself as too old or too whatever? But she doesn't seem to be. And that's a good looking dude, and she's just not even about it. And then he goes in, and there's that moment where they're super close, and the way she like turns him off is just so adorable. I don't know. There's just such an honesty to that scene. She's like, "Come on, kid, what are you doing?" You know, she's flattered, but like it's just too much of a mess. I'm too old for this. You know. I don't know. There was something about that moment just felt so
Yeah,
raw and
that's
honest.
exactly what it is.
I absolutely love that. And but then what I thought was
Yeah.
really interesting is when she goes to see Delmar, she's all like dolled up. She has flowers and everything before she knows that he's guilty of something or anything. Um, but I just thought that was funny that she thought he was too young for her.
Not everybody wants to be a puma like me.
I mean, I guess it takes a certain level of cool to be able to pull that off, you know. Um,
Definitely.
but to the idea that, like, I mean, most of it is formulaic. So you see what they're putting down. Okay, he first comes in, and the kid whips him off the road, and he's sitting there, and the kid flips him off again after he won. And I'm like, how is he going to react to this? Is he going to get angry in return? But no, he just sits there and wallows in his pain and lets the enemy see him wallowing in that pain. Doesn't return, but he's perfectly fine letting, the enemy see him being vulnerable. And I was like, what are we looking at here? Right. And then as like, oh, obviously you're, laying the groundwork for an origin story for a supervillain. Right. I was like, okay, that's what they were doing. But even then, you think you are getting what they're putting down. Okay, that's the bad guy. They're trying to catch him. And then it just all starts going wonky.
In true poker face fashion.
Right. And I'm like, wait a second, why is he okay with this? Excuse me. Why did he just leave it there? And then when they're driving, even I'm thinking, why would she? No, it has to be. And then he dies. I'm like, and then it's like, okay, yeah. So he had her getting the car to get back at him after he took out the seatbelt. Now that I thought was like, why would you go that far? Right? Like, did you really hate her that much or hate him that much? He was just trying to make you crash, right? But he went so much further ahead and said, no, I'm going to kill somebody over this.
Well, and that kind of is our harken back to the old days of and like why Earnhardt was hated so much. Like when he became a team owner, became about his team, and he would like cut people off and things like that. So I definitely see him as like the last like old hat of the sport, and like his daughter's gonna come in and be like the Bushes. If you know anything about like Kyle and his brother, the Bush boys.
Oh, I thought you meant the political Bushes. Family. The
no, well, no, the beer Bushes,
okay,
not the Politerati Bushes. Right.
There's a bunch of them
in the
too.
chat for Jeb.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I found it really interesting, like how those dynasties and the politics of that work, and then for her to be a woman of color taking her dad's place, that's also a whole nother thing. And then for that person to do that to her to also be a person of color also kind of sends that twist too. So it's like very interesting, I thought.
Yeah, and I'm glad they didn't like play it up as a campy thing, or it just was
exactly
right, and that was nice about it.
Yeah, he should have just went ahead and retired. But like I said, he's like the last old hat of the sport. And there is a point that you do kind of want to go on top, especially if you're like leaving your legacy to your child, very much like Dale Earnhardt wanted to do for his son. So I totally like kind of get that, but like not telling your family, like I totally would have been upset too.
Yeah, I don't think it's for the family.
No, it's for his pride. But he said he lost that feeling, and sometimes, especially like in dangerous sports like this, it's like or just any sport in general. Like when you're of a certain age, if you don't have that passion, you can really get hurt. So you should listen to that voice. That was also something that I found very interesting.
Yeah, like they begin by his hand is shaking a little, and you don't really get what it means, and then like when it comes together is like when he finally thinks that the race is going to go his way, right? Oh, I've done everything. And he's assured that he's going to be the person with the more advantages in this situation. Not necessarily that he's better, but he's going to win. Like before, he used to have that feeling innately. I am the best. I am going to win. So he was sure of himself. The hand was steady on that steering wheel. And then I think what he really lost was that the kid showed him he was better, and he knew it. And that's what he was really upset about. Right. And towards the end, when Charlie walks over to the kid and she's like, yeah, Katie's going to be fine. She's coming for you. And immediately he knew he wasn't the best. And so he got the shakes right there. I thought that was a cool little callback. So just that's interesting to me is like the danger of convincing yourself of who you are. Mm-hmm. Right. You do something and if you convince yourself that you're not worth it, it's over. You're never going to get it because you won't fight as hard for it.
Exactly.
So that I thought was a really, really cool thing they did there.
I just like, because you see, I like in the beginning where you don't know why he's just pulled up someone's mailbox, which is a federal offense, by the way. Mm-hmm. And then when we get into Charlie, we see the side that really made him mad with the girl beating him in go-karts. Like, he just goes, you know what?
Yeah.
So I thought that was I love how the little things come together in Poker Face. It's so funny. Like I don't like I said, I really love every single cast that they put together, and I just get instantly sucked into the story. And then I'm like, oh yeah, I've been waiting on Charlie this whole time, but not really.
But they make you forget that you were waiting for Charlie this whole time. Every time. Like I don't even. I'm just like, what happens next? What happens next? And they're like, oh yeah, Charlie. Oh okay. I'm always so wrapped into how well they tell that first portion of the story.
Yeah, it's like literally half the episode I'm sucked in, and then like I'm like, wait, how are they gonna wrap this up in 10, 12 minutes?
Yeah. And to that point, like this time when she goes on her little discovery run, bullshit.
Yeah.
He knows, right? And you see him really expertly
Be careful.
avoiding, I mean, like with the kind of bravado only a young person can have, right? And he almost got away with it too.
If it wasn't for that pesky Charlie.
No, if it wasn't for the pesky little kid. He comes in, the kid talks to him, and he's like, yeah, you know, you'll be fine. That was just a fluke. And that's where she caught him. I was like, man, you were so careful this whole time. It was such a well-laid plan, such a beautifully perfect plan. Everyone was dancing like a marionette to his fingers movements. It was just perfect. And then just careless for one moment. You got caught. But I you know, it's like, and then when she walks over to talk to the old man, and he tells her, like, it's so funny the bravado people have when they think that they're safe with their lies. I didn't touch nothing. That's all I have to say about it. That's it. He's like, oh, okay, and she walks away all scared. But it never ceases to amaze me how she puts herself in danger. Like, there's no backup. There's no prior arrangements for backup. Right, but she just goes in and confronts people with like their freedom, in essence, right? Like that's a scary thing. I would really just make sure I had protection before I uttered any sort of this conversation to somebody that was guilty, that I knew was, that I can prove was guilty.
Yeah, and you know, my friend kind of brought this up, and they said Charlie seems slightly autistic coded because they have that strong sense of justice, what's fair and what's right, and they kind of just don't have that part of their brain. Like I'm bringing up something, like they don't understand. Like a lot of them don't understand. Like when people lie, they don't understand why they're lying because they don't have that inclination. And I think that's I don't know if they're gonna get into that. Like,
I hope so. That's fascinating.
Like her bullshit detecting powers, right? Because like a lot of people with certain, you know, like socially awkward people, things like that, they have like that sense, that innate sense about them. So I don't know. I hope we do get into her past a little bit, just kind of see how it happened.
With people that are autistic, it's hard for them to it's hard for them to put on a facade. Right? They're generally, so when they act that way all the time, it's hard for them to see the world through the lens most people view the world, with their machinations and things they've decided about themselves. They don't hold any of that up. So to them, they see you just holding up these lies and they're like, you know, I can see you, right? But most people are holding up the same lies and they're like, oh yeah, you too? All right, I got you. You know, so I think maybe that's it. The other thing I think is like interesting things about how the human brain recognizes patterns, right? Like what's that called, where two circles and three circles will immediately make you see eyes and a nose, right? Or how we recognize the human face, the uncanny valley. When it's off, we know it's off, right?
Yeah.
That concept with computer generated things sometimes don't look right. They just feel not real.
It's always the ears. Yeah, it's always something.
The ears, or the
you can't
eyes,
pinpoint it right away, you know. You have that feeling, yeah.
So maybe there's something like that that's overdeveloped in her brain, where there's a naturalness to our flow of how we move and talk. And if you don't, you're like constrained in some way in your mannerism that she can immediately pick out.
My first theory was synesthesia. If you're familiar with like words,
Charlie went down. He believed that to be the case as well.
Yeah, that synesthesia comes in like all kinds of forms, and a lot of people have it and they don't even know it. And they like when people say like, you know, like certain number has a color, or a day has a color or a feeling attached to it, like, you know, Blue Monday, things like that. Yeah, that's
the number 7 has always been red to me. The number 5 is always orange. The number 4 is always a bluish purple. I have not that I could see it, but like certain things
what you
have
think
a
of
color.
when you hear that number. Yeah.
Yeah. Sundays are always yellow.
Yeah.
Just based on my own personal life experience, that's what Sunday means to me. That color represents that
Everybody's
feeling.
memory palace is always so fascinating to me. That's what I call the
Mm,
mind. I was a huge
mm.
fan of The Mentalist, and he talks about the mind palace and like how you organize things in your brain, and like how he was a con man, by the way, if you haven't seen the show, and like how he organized his mind palace to be able to trick people all the time. So
To hold a story.
yeah, it's a very good companion
Right.
show to this show, actually. If anybody out there
Interesting.
is interesting, and it's yeah,
Yeah, I
Simon
always
Baker,
thought like
fabulous actor.
the idea of people, everybody has their own reality tunnel, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is the reality that they see. My tunnel might line up 90% with yours or with most people, but everybody has like a different reality that they're living in, that they've built around their experiences.
That's a good point, especially for this episode. It's like kind of like the haves and the have not, right? They're the scrappy upstart team. I
Mm.
mean, they have like a tow truck. This guy's from a dynasty and he's passing it on to his daughter. And so there's like all these machinations and feelings like I have to live up to my dad. Like he lived up to his dad and his dad before him. But like I'm just trying to break into the sport that's not necessarily fair to someone who doesn't come from millions or anything like that. You know, she is going to have the sponsors and all those advantages, whether she quote unquote deserves it or not. She is a name, and that's just kind of how sports work, right? Like LeBron's son.
Yep.
Thank God he's actually a good basketball player. Shout out to Bronny.
Right. Yeah, but I mean, like, how dare you not be with the advantage of like, but it's a hard thing to say, like, it's already here. I didn't have to fight for it. Like, but you give some kid off the street, be like, you can live with LeBron and train with LeBron every day. Like, there's no way that guy wouldn't turn out to be like a Mike Tyson of basketball or something,
Exactly. So yeah, like I said, I really enjoyed this episode. It gave me very much nostalgic vibes of like arguments of hearing the boys in the back of my class talk about NASCAR and like who was better and why. And like, oh, he's just from a dynasty. He just gets those cars handed to him. And racing is a hard sport. Like if you win that first race of the season, they actually like keep it. You have to like use your other car. Like NASCAR doesn't make sense to me the way it was explained to me, but it's fun to watch for me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I mean, like, regardless of how you got there, once you get to the stage, if you can perform, obviously you belong there. It doesn't matter how you got there.
I'm rooting for both of them. It was such a good episode. Like usually I'm on one side of the fence, but this one I was like, I don't know whose side I'm on actually. Even at the end, I'm like, I don't know. Sometimes the ends justify the means. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they try really hard to sort of make it ambiguous. They make him like sound like he's evil, and then you find out the other guy's really the old decrepit evil, and then you see this guy like hanging out with the kids, being generous and like being responsible role model to the kids, apologizing, and you're like, man, I like that. And then you meet his mom. He's got a good mom. He's got a good family.
Shout out to Angela Desai. I love her in everything.
Absolutely. She was she not in the first episode? In the casino as her friend?
Oh, no, I don't think so.
Why? No! It wasn't her. It was okay. Never mind.
Are you talking about Dasha Blanco from Orange?
I might be. Might be. Her friend, who's their friend, got murdered. Yeah. No, but she reminds me a lot of that character. But yeah, she was so good. So it made you kind of buy into him. But then it's like, dude, did you really have to go that far?
It is a very ruthless sport, if you know kind of thing. So
I guess. And
plus, this is like melodrama, right? So yeah, it kind of. I mean, look at the episode before this. Like, talk about melodrama.
Yeah.
Like they kind of prime us for it, and I think they do the melodrama in a very tasteful, satirical kind of way that it just works. I think all the writers on this show have been phenomenal thus far. Like, Ryan really knows how to pick them. Like, I love that Ryan just decided mystery was going to be his jam. And he's like, you know what? I'm just going to roll with it until the wheels fall off. And he's just been doing really great. Everything from Glass Onion and all those things. Like, shout out to Peacock for even being able to get him to be truthful. Because, like, it's like they have this and, like, reruns of The Office.
Right. They're starting to build a little bit. This is the only thing I watch on it.
Yeah, I watch like reruns of like some sci-fi stuff, and that's about it.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I don't think I watch anything else. I tried watching that other show with the nun lady.
Oh, Mrs. Something or other.
Yeah. Did you catch any of that?
Not yet.
I thought it was god awful. Really, really terrible. Like so bad I could not get. I tried 3 times to watch it. I just couldn't. I just like I can't deal with this. Is too stupid.
Yeah, I haven't heard anybody say anything good about it yet. So like,
Yeah,
I've
no,
been
I
kind
did
of
not
staying away
appreciate
from
it
it.
whatsoever. Um,
I mean, they were smart to make this a weekly show, just to have the
yeah,
episodes drop it first on a weekly basis. Like, kind of like I had only I got started on episode 2, so I had 2 in the bank, and then I was like, wait a minute, I have to do what? But it's totally worth it, by the way. Like, I literally made it appointment TV.
nice, yeah. How many are there going to be for this season? Like 13?
10.
10. Okay.
Yeah, let me double check. I was pretty sure it was 10.
And
Yeah, it's
so
10.
far, we're up. Oh, so the last episode happened already. All right.
Mm-hmm.
That's already out. All right. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I'm actually on my 3rd rewatch. I really like this show a lot. This
Oh,
is like
okay,
the
okay.
perfect excuse for me
Nice,
to
nice.
rewatch
That's
this
awesome.
show. Because you like when
Uh,
you go back, you pick up the little things. It's like because it's a mystery, right? Like I love
right.
Columbo, Murder She Wrote, Perry Mason. So like this is like, and shout out to the updated, well the Perry Mason that they did HBO. It was good, but this is better. Like she is literally like this is like the spiritual successor to Murder She Wrote as far as I'm concerned.
Or Columbo. I feel like even her mannerisms are awkward.
Yeah, she's very Columbo in her mannerisms.
I feel like she really is paying homage in a lot of those scenes, and she's just like enjoying herself. She's just this is just for her sometimes, just channeling like her acting heroes or something like that. But like we just get to watch her have a ball. That's what it feels like.
She has chemistry with everybody. Like it's crazy.
That's also true. She's a phenomenal actress. Everything I've seen her in
forever too, since she was a little kid.
Yeah.
So yeah, like seeing her grow up and like develop this, it's just really cool.
Yeah. Let's see. How did they? Yeah, the resolution came. How did she catch him? I'm blanking on that.
Hold on. Is it when she's at the hospital? Wait, hold on. Charlie convinces him to let her do so. Oh yeah, she starts suspecting the seatbelt malfunction was an accident, but then she like sees that it's a lie, realizing that he was at home when Keith sneaked into the garage.
Oh right, when she speaks to the mom and she's like, "Yeah, he was there the whole time. I went out on that call."
Mm-hmm.
And then she confronts him and catches him in that lie. And he's about to kill her in that moment.
Yeah, and then Davis is like, "Let her go."
Yeah.
And Gene shows up and was like, "Let her go."
What's happening here? Like, no, I'm gonna be out. I'll see you.
I wouldn't want to be in a tow truck garage. There's way too many pointy and hard metal things.
Yeah, and I don't know what sort of podunk town they were in, but it's easy to lose people in places like that.
Peachtree. I don't. Let me see if Peachtree Speedway is where I think it is. Yeah, it's just it's out of Hampton, Georgia, so they're kind of like on the outskirts of Atlanta, which is a big like, racing kind of community. But their specific area is probably very like small, where everybody knows everybody. That's kind of what I gather from at the go-kart scene. I think was to set that tone too, as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like nobody's gonna miss her. She's on the run. They're like, well, she was a fugitive.
Yeah.
Thing,
one of those grifters.
Like that other episode that he brought up.
Yeah, she showed up one day, and then one day she was gone. Probably check the next 3 counties over. It's the best I can do for you.
That is the one thing about life on the road,
Yeah.
Easily and she is a woman, so like in the back of my head, like I know Ryan won't do this to me, but like in the back of my head, it's always like she's a woman driving a pretty sweet car through nowhere.
Yeah.
Looking for jobs for cash, like like the lady told her, and like, ooh, that yeah, as you see, it takes us to the back roads of America, which are not all apple pie, and grannies making lemonade for you.
Yeah. I love that she beat him at the end in his tow truck. The movie taught her, trust the car, floors it and does a fishtail, and she's out of there. And I was like, oh, hey, that's what you get, man.
Oh, the grandfather's photo too. Yeah.
Yes, you never planned to be in the car to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, you thought you were playing with fire. He really knew that she could tell lies, and I thought it was brilliant that he used that too. He's like, oh, why don't you go talk to him? Ask him if he did anything, right? And she's like, let you do all the work for me. It was so brilliant, almost.
And I would have got away with it too if it wasn't for that meddling kid.
Little kid, man. Wrong place, wrong time. Although he should have been like, she's within earshot, buddy. You're not in the clear. Like, relax. But hey, don't do bad things or you won't get the shakes, right?
Exactly. And I do want to shout out the cinematographer Christine Knott.
Hmm.
Um, I think these episodes are so just beautifully put together. Like I love the sprawling, like you know, like I said, the back roads of America, and it's just always lit so beautiful, or ominously sometimes.
Yeah, they really tell a visual story really really well. Like my favorite visually was the barbecue episode.
Yeah,
The long green and the yellow fences and the sunlight. It was just absolutely. It was like a moving painting in many of those scenes. That was one of the best, most beautifully shot scenes. But yeah, this one was really nice too. Everything they've done so far has just been top notch all the way. They got good
yeah.
people to do everything.
So the director's Ian B. McDonald is actually executive producer on this show, so that's really cool that everybody like. I feel like
Ah,
people want to get in on the action. Like you writer, you're involved, and you just see everybody having fun. And you're like, I want to throw my hat in the ring and have fun with everybody too. And so far, it's been working, honestly. So
yeah. Look at he's done some interesting stuff. Shameless episodes. Preacher.
Preacher's a great show if you're, especially if you're not a fan of the comic book. I'll just put it that way.
Oh,
Great show.
I'm not, and I've seen like little clips here and there on in the internet. It looks really good. I want to get into it. That looks like a
If you
really
like
really good.
Midnight Mass, you'll love Preacher. I'll put it to you that way.
I've heard a lot of good things about that too. I haven't seen that one yet, but I'm a fan of that actor. What's his name?
Which one?
The guy from Preacher, Dominic Cooper.
Yeah.
That guy's a phenomenal actor too.
Oh, and the music. I not my cup of tea, but like because it's supernatural, like anything that's like that like soft rock, like 70s, 80s. I love
Hmm.
it. This episode, what was the song? I think it's Driving on 9 by the Breeders was like the featured music for this one.
Gotcha. I didn't even catch that.
The music really, if you listen to it, not just like the score and stuff, but like the actual like song choices that they pull is really cool. And
Huh.
I guess it's very good use of their budget because I don't think that particular band is like that much. It's gonna cost that much too. So
Yeah.
use
Yeah.
them
I
what you
didn't
got.
recognize it right off the bat. Um, but overall, I absolutely am in love with this show. I
Yeah,
love that you get like a beginning, middle, and an ending, a resolution,
definitive. Yeah, so
satisfying.
far,
Yeah,
so
well,
far.
fair enough. But I doubt that they could fumble the ball at this point. We're at the 5 yard
Yeah,
line, you know.
I mean, as somebody that's on the third rewatch, they definitely didn't fumble. And they set up season two. I'm just like I'm checking every day. When is it gonna? Are they gonna tell me when this is gonna drop? You know, with the writer's strike, you know, people are choosing to push things back out to 2025 or even 2026. But we kind of already knew that, and I'm just like, I
Yeah,
just hope they pay the writers, so you know
that
that
still
they can
hasn't
get
been
their money.
resolved yet.
Last time I looked, there wasn't. But that was like last week.
Wow.
I feel like this is a big thing with streaming rights, with especially like as syndication is falling out of favor.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still going.
Yeah, they need to find some way to normalize the situation and not have it be so imbalanced towards the creatives.
Yeah, definitely. So like I'll stand with them and I'll go back to watching Survivor like I did the last three times this happened. I mean there have been a lot of writer strikes in my life and I stand with them every single time. So you know I can watch Survivor and Big Brother because it is summertime. So you know.
Do you think it affects things like Jeopardy? Like, are those considered writers, people who write these questions,
Ooh,
or the answers rather?
that's a good question. That
Huh?
is a good question. But like, if
I'd
I
like to find
remember
that out.
right, I thought like the last time that the writer's strike happened, like I think the one that I remember mostly was 2007, and I was watching a lot of Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune. Now I think those episodes were new, but I don't know how that has changed in the last like
Hmm.
13 years or so.
Yeah, that was when SNL did their. Oh no, somebody else did a live episode or an unscripted episode, something
A
like that.
couple of people tried it and failed miserably. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I
just pay the
guess you can't.
people.
Yeah, you can't do that unless you have like, even if you have heavy hitters, you're just gonna maybe clash.
Yeah.
But
Like you know Ryan Reynolds actually because they are shooting Deadpool 3 right now he can't ad lib or anything neither can Hugh Jackman because they're producers and writers on the credited, so they can't even ad lib because it might be counted as writing. So I'm just like, yeah, stick it to them, tell them.
I don't know,
So
like
yeah,
that part. I don't know if I'm happy about that part.
I'm hoping that, like I said, I hope it comes to a resolution and they can go back and do some pickup scenes if it's resolved quickly enough. So because I mean,
Yeah,
literally 33% of the Deadpool movies where he admitted as much were like him ad libbing. So fingers crossed. But they deserve it. Like they give us so much. Like especially like just like they just give us so much joy and entertainment. Just pay the people.
it's true. It's true. Yeah, I mean, that's the best you could hope for. Just do the right thing.
Definitely.
There's nothing else. All right. Any final thoughts on this episode?
No. I will give. I don't know. Do you guys give grades or
I'm
thumbs
sorry.
up, thumbs down? Do you guys do grades? Thumbs up,
No,
thumbs
we
down.
we don't. I mean, because that I don't know if I'd have enough thumbs left.
Exactly.
But we could do this like scored on a scale of 1 to 10,
Sure.
I guess, or relative to the season, to all
Oh,
the other
relative to the
episodes.
episode, I'll give it a Mercedes.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I don't know if I possess the vernacular to accurately express myself in those terms. I would say, man, I think the first one was if you had to make the first one a 10, I'd give this a 9, maybe an 8.5 out of
Yeah,
10. Eight and a half.
solid,
That's what I would say.
solid. I mean, it's not a Ferrari.
Fair enough. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
No, like top to bottom, like every single episode has been so good and solid, and consistency on a like a mystery show, like that's amazing to me.
I want them to explore more of where our powers come from. I think we got an interesting insight last week when they did the theater episode,
Yeah,
which was another great one. But there's a moment where I forget who the actor is, but he's on stage and he looks she looks really worried or scared, and Charlie looks at her and she goes, "Yeah, that's the first time I bought her acting." Like, so
yeah.
it wasn't necessarily the audio in her ears affecting her brain in a certain way that tells her it's a liar, but it's an overall gestalt of the person that she feels, and she just knows if you mean it or not, just by your body language or your
I
aura
think
or
it's just like
something.
a culmination of like so many things in her
Right.
brain that just all come together.
Yeah. But that's the only other interesting thing I've seen this season that gives us some insight into how her powers really work.
Yeah.
Is there
I mean,
anything
I
you've
don't think
noticed
they
in
want
other episodes?
to see us. I don't think they want to really like pull back the man behind the curtain things too soon. Too, because
Or
like
I mean,
I think it's fun for the fans to theorize and stuff, and I think the writers have fun like reading our dumb theories, right?
yeah. No, I don't think I do want to know. I think I constantly want to be
I want
wondering. You're
hints.
right.
You're right. I
You're
love
right.
hints for my little
Yeah.
to fuel my little fan theories. I love it absolutely.
Have you seen any others? Not spoiling anything you've seen further ahead, but in previous episodes, have you seen anything else that points to the mechanics of her powers?
Not really. Not really. I think a lot of it is just like in passing, and you have to be like
Mm,
super focused. But like, and then they do give us. I will just at the end of the season, they do give us a tiny hint, like just a tiny hint about
okay.
what might have
Okay.
like precipitated her condition. But it's just like the tiniest hint. If you
Okay.
didn't hear it, it's gone. So
All
I
right. All
think
right.
we might get into it into the second season, depending on where they want to go. But yeah,
Have they
like I said,
picked
I
this
think
up?
they want to play with us. I think they're giving us the Rick and Morty treatment. They just kind of like, yeah, we're gonna see what the fans have to theorize.
Play away.
Yep.
My mind is your amusement park. Go ahead. You know.
Exactly. It's
Have they
been
been
really
picked up,
great.
Chris? Have they been picked up?
I'm pretty sure it did. This
Okay.
did blockbuster for Peacock. Like it's just a
Good.
matter. I
Good.
think the
Good.
writer's strike. I'm like, let me see. They might have announced it. Season 2.
Hmm.
There's an article. It looks like they are gonna bring it back, but with the writer's strike, they can't say when, where, or start
Hmm.
shooting or anything.
All right.
Yeah, this would have been like a really dumb move if they didn't give it a season 2. Like I could not like I didn't pick it up right away. Like I just kept hearing really really good things about the show. So finally, a Saturday, I was just like, all right, let's. I mean, because it's Peacock, so I was just like, okay, let's see what this is about. And I'm like,
Yeah.
first episode, and then I was like, oh, I got another one. And then I had to wait, and I actually waited because usually if I have to wait, I just forget about it. But I made a mental
Yeah.
note, so.
I'm lucky I found it late. Charlie and I were like, what show are we going to do next? We watched the first episode of a few, and there was a couple that were cool. Like that Pete Davidson show was really interesting. I really like Bupkis. But when I saw this, I was like, no. This is what we got to do. This is too good. It's by far one of the best new shows I've seen in a long time.
Definitely. I do look forward to hearing your thoughts for the rest of the season, but I think that brings us to the end.
Yeah.
So I just want to remind you guys that there will be a link in the show notes, whether you're on YouTube or on the podcast, for Charlie's funeral expenses. So if you can donate, that would be great. His family really could use it. So we look forward to hopefully having a very successful GoFundMe campaign at the end. As for our stuff, you can find us on Twitter. What is that? Twitter. FSA Podcast. You can send an email to CapesandLunatics@gmail.com. You can check out our webpage, tubespace.io, Capes and Lunatics Podcast Network. If you want, you can always leave a voicemail on the voicemail. And that's, what is that? 614-382-2727. Of course, that's 614-38-CAPES. Can't do it quite as good as Phil yet, but I'll get there. And I'm just an old internet granny, so I only have one form of social media right now, and that's Facebook. So if you want to friend me on Facebook, feel free at Lilith Hellfire. What about you, Mozzie? Where can they find you?
Same old thing. They can email me the old-fashioned way at mozzmanzor@gmail.com or find me on Facebook under Mozz Manzor. And that's it. It's MOZZMANZOOR.
Ping.
Thank you.
I'll
I don't know
ping
what to do with
you.
myself there. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
So yeah, look forward to it. Next week is an even better episode, in my personal opinion. Like I said, every
Ooh,
episode is better than the
okay.
next for me.
Fair enough. Yeah, same.
So send in some emails. Tell us your thoughts, your theories, how you like the season, if you've already completed it or if you're watching along. Until next time, full stream ahead.
Arr. All right.